Sandton Amateur Radio Club, ZS6STN. A very good morning to everyone, and thank you for tuning into the Bulletin this Sunday, the 19th of October, 2025. You are listening to the club station of the Sandton Amateur Radio Club, ZS6STN, which is operated today from the shack of Stewart ZR1WT in George, Western Cape. This club bulletin is broadcast every Sunday at 8:45 local time on the following frequencies: 145.700 megahertz FM in the 2-meter band, 7.115 megahertz lower side band in the 40-meter band, today via the relay from the shack of Noel, ZR6DX. And we also have Echolink, ZS6STN-L and -R, All-Star nodes and various repeaters linked via All-Star. This bulletin is being recorded and will be uploaded to the Sandton Amateur Radio Club ZS6STN's YouTube page. In the bulletin today, we start with a summary of the SARL general news, followed by club birthdays and club news, the special topic of interest, and finally general call-ins and swap shop on 40 meters, Echolink, and All-Star nodes and 2 meters. We start with the South African Radio League news for Sunday, the 19th of October, 2025. Good morning and welcome to the weekly news bulletin of the South African Radio League, read by Stewart ZR1WT in George. The text of this bulletin can be downloaded at https://mysarl.org.za/SARL-news. In the news today, the 2026 SARL National Convention. AMSAT SA announces the 2026 Space Symposium date, and disturbing news about type approval. Stay tuned for more information on these and other interesting news items. The 2026 SARL National Convention. The Port of Elizabeth ARS will be the host of the 2026 SARL National Convention over the weekend of the 1st to the 3rd of May 2026. Pairs will present the National Convention at the Willows Resort and Conference Center just south of PE. And that is https://thewillowspe.co.za. The SARL Technological Symposium will be held on Saturday, the 11th of April, 2026. The nomination forms for the various SARL awards and trophies, as well as the forms for submitting a motion or point of discussion at the AGM, are available from the SARL website, https://SARL.org.za/AGM-2026. The closing date for the award nominations, motions and points of discussion is midnight on Saturday the 31st of January 2025. I presume they mean 2026, and must be sent to the secretary at sarl.org.za. SARL membership fees. The SARL thanks all members who have renewed their membership. If you have not yet renewed your membership, visit https://mysarl.org.za/membership-rates to get the SARL bank details and the amount you need to pay. Please use your call sign as the reference when doing the EFT. You have until Friday, the 31st of October 2025 to pay your membership fees. Please do it as soon as possible. Okay, Bakar 13. The Sandton Amateur Radio Club would like to extend a weather balloon-sized thank you to Christo and the Secundu Amateur Radio Club for arranging and hosting the Bakar 13 balloon launch that took place on the morning of Saturday, the 11th of October. The SARL Hamnet team that successfully chased and recovered all the payloads, those that spent hours constructing and flying their CubeSat payloads, as well as those that came to spectate or track and interact with the payloads. The furthest SSTV receiving station was most likely John, A2NEW in Botswana, who received multiple VHF and UHF SSTV images in great quality, with extremely low power whisper transmissions being received by many local and European stations. The data analysis and review of what worked and did not work is now on the go. And here is a hot tip. If you want to fly your payload in October 2026, best to start preparing now before the time runs out. Thanks, the car team. It was a great event. While talking about balloons, here's updates on the 3 South African high-altitude Pico balloons currently in the air. ZS1ERZ-12 is currently on its 6th circumnavigation of the Earth. As of today, it is about to enter South American airspace, having traveled 200,000 kilometers over a period of 63 days and 13 hours. ZS6SRC-30 is nearing the completion of its first circumnavigation and is currently neck and neck with ZS1ERZ-12 over the Pacific Ocean. The ZS6SRC-29 completed its first lap around the world yesterday, the 18th of October, and is now well on its way across the Indian Ocean towards Australia. ZS1ERZ-12 and ZS6SRC-30 both transmit whisper and a secondary telemetry packet on the 10-meter band, while ZS6SRC-29 operates on the 20-meter band. AMSAT SA announces 2026 Space Symposium date. AMSAT SA will be holding the 2026 Space Symposium on Saturday, the 1st of August, 2026. It will again be a virtual event on the AMSAT SA WebEx platform. The symposium will run from 8 to 1400 hours UTC. The theme of the conference is Amateur Radio Gateway to Space. Proposals for papers are now invited. Please submit a summary in MS Word. Presentations are typically about 20 to 30 minutes long with a 10-minute Q&A session. Once accepted, full written papers with PowerPoints for presentation are required. For more information and sponsorship opportunities, please email admin@amsatsa.org.za. You are listening to a news bulletin of the South African Radio League. The October RAE, the Sandton Amateur Radio Club, would like to thank all the clubs and individuals that contributed to the RAE and extend hearty congratulations to all RAE candidates that wrote their exam yesterday. We look forward to catching you on the air with your own call sign in the very near future. Disturbing news about type approval. On the 28th of September 2016, the Independent Communications Authority of South Africa, ICASA, published a discussion document on equipment type approval exemption, General Notice 621 of 2016, Government Gazette number 4309, titled The Discussion Document, in terms of Section 4B of the Independent Communication Authority of South Africa, Act 2000, as amended. The purpose of the discussion document was to solicit input from interested parties on prescribing the following: the types of equipment, electronic communications, facilities and radio apparatus, the use of which does not require approval where such equipment, electronic communications facilities and radio apparatus has been approved for the use by European Telecommunications Standards Associations or other competent standards body where the equipment complies with type approval standards prescribed by the authority. It was expected that the final document would be gazetted at the beginning of ICASA's financial year in April this year. Recently, the SARL requested ICASA for an update. ICASA replied as follows: the procurement to appoint certification bodies was unsuccessful and we currently have to redo the process. This means we are yet again stuck with no prospect of enforcing the regulations yet, and we are going to invite prospective certification bodies again sometime in November. This means we will potentially be able to active the regulations early next year, and in brackets it got the SIC, which means it's exactly as it was written. It should be noted that this does not affect homebrew equipment. The SARL will discuss the situation at the next liaison meeting in November. The next Power Hour Tech Talk on the 29th of October. You heard about it, you have chased it, you watched the weather and the temperature and hopped on the band. Now let's get all the details on the ups and downs, literally and figuratively, of the Lesotho Mini-Soto de-expedition that took place over the week of 17 to 19 September 2025, direct from the Soto adventurers themselves. That's Brandon ZS6LZ and Matthew ZS6MDV, with lots of pictures and stories to keep us entertained. Join the Power Hour Tech Talk on 1900 hours Central African Time on Wednesday evening, 29th of October, via Zoom, and relive the adventure. Feel the cold, take shelter from the rain, be buffeted by the wind, negotiate the cliffs in the mist, and celebrate the achievements and joy of all the contacts made. Did you chase? Then why not come and add your experience and voice to the talk? Diarize Wednesday the 29th of October, 1900 Central African Time to join the Power Hour Tech Talk on Zoom. The Zoom meeting ID is 873-2411-8244. I'll repeat that. The Zoom meeting ID is 873-2411-8244, and the passcode is 186458. I'll repeat, the passcode is 186458. It is going to be awesome. Okay, contest news. Thank you to all that participated in the SARL Spring QRP contest yesterday, Saturday the 18th of October. The overall results will be compiled once we receive all the logbooks. Please do not forget to submit your logbook by Friday the 24th of October. The CQWWDX SSB contest is on the air from 1 minute UTC on Saturday, 25th of October to 23:59:59 UTC on Sunday, the 26th of October, with phone activity on 160, 80, 40, 20, 15 and 10 meters. The exchange is an RS report, your CQ zone, and for South Africans, that is zone 38. Get the rules at https://cqww.com. Okay, propagation report. Hannes Kutsia, ZS6BZP, reports that the solar activity is expected to be at low to moderate levels. There are currently 8 sunspots regions with simple to complex magnetic configurations visible. There's a high probability for C and M class flares, solar flares, and a low probability for X class flares. If you want to do your own frequency predictions, the expected effective sunspot number for the week will be around 98. The 20 to 30 meter bands may, especially during the early mornings and late afternoons, provide some DX fun. Please visit the website spaceweather.sansa.org.za for further information. Finally, a diary of some upcoming events. Today, Jamboree on the Air. 21 and 22nd of October, the Orionides Meteor Shower. 25 and 26th of October, the CQWW DX SSB contest. 29th of October, the Sandton Power Hour Tech Talk. 4th and 5th of November, the Tourists Meter Shower. 8th of November, the West Rand Boot Sale. This concludes the SAR Bulletin for this morning. You have listened to a news bulletin written by Andy Cairns, ZS6ADY, proofread by Paul Johnson, ZS1S, and read by Stuart, ZR1WT. Stay tuned for the ZS6STN Club News. Sandton Amateur Radio Club News. Let's start with some birthdays of club members. Last week we had ZS6NS, that's James Archibald, on the 15th of October. ZR6OM, Dwayne Duty, 16th of October. Congratulations and hope you had a great day on your birthday. Coming up this week we have ZS6CLB, Christopher Becker, on the 21st. ZS6ARV, Jan Schubert, on the 22nd. ZS6LL, Richard Gears, 23rd. ZS6HCG, Henk Gelderblom, on the 23rd of October. And ZR6TD, Darren Turnett, on the 25th of October. Congratulations, and I hope you're going to have a great day on your birthday. Right, Club News. If you'd like to contribute to Club News this morning, please call in now on 2 meters. ZS6STN is listening.
ZS6 Hotel India.
ZS6HI, good morning, Keith. Please take a round.
Thank you very much. Well received at my QTH here at the moment, Stuart, so all great. Just to give a little bit of feedback to members, the committee will be meeting the first Saturday in November to plan out the strategy for 2026, as well as the year-end function. So we will give you some news after that particular committee meeting. But yes, we're going to get together and strategize for the 2026 financial year of the club. And then, so yesterday was the Joti with the Scouts, and that is still, you heard it, the Jamboree on the air is still on today, so you'll probably find some of the Scout stations on the air today. And the Sandton Club supported the first Bryanston Scout group yesterday, and Kevin, Richard and myself were there, and we had great fun with the Cubs in the morning for a few hours. We were doing SSTV Morse code, so how does that combine? Well, they had to compile a Morse code message on paper. That paper was then captured via a camera and transmitted on SSTV to another station, where the Cubs had to decode the Morse code message that they came through on the image. So we were combining a couple of amateur radio interest groups for that particular scenario with the Cubs, and I think it was well received by the Cubs. It gets chaotic at times with the Cubs, with some members really keen, and others, well, not so keen on participating. But it was a lot of fun with the Cubs in the morning, and that was typically from, I think we were there at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning, and we finished at about 12 with the Cubs, and that's local time. And then in the afternoon, it was a QRP contest that took place from 3:30 local time for 2 hours, and I did hear a number of stations on the air. We were down at the First Bryanston Scout Group, and I was listening out, and we heard a lot of, and participating, and we heard a lot of stations on the air during the QRP contest. So hopefully those logbooks will be received, and we will see who the overall award winners are for 2025, because that was the final leg of the QRP contest. I did hear that some of the ZS2 stations were really pumping, and apparently there were some ZS1 stations pumping as well. I didn't get any ZS1s personally, but we had some fun during the QRP contest. And then we had the Scouts from about just at the last half hour of the QRP contest. We worked with the Scouts, and then into the evening, and we were trying to make contact with some of the other Joti sites around the country and around the world. We didn't manage to get any around the world with our end-fed half-wave antenna that was up at the time. That was there because of the rain, and we were taking shelter under some particular shelter area, and we didn't have a long coax to get out there to a linked dipole or anything, so we had to use the end-fed half-wave. But it was a lot of fun, and the scouts were, some of them are brilliant on air. They just take to it like a duck to water and have a great conversation with scouts on the other side, where others are a little bit shy, and Mike shy, and they don't talk too much. They just say hello, and my name is, and so on and so forth. But Vainant Victor 51 Whiskey helped us a lot, and he had a lot of conversations with the scouts from First Bryanston, as did the ZS6 Papa Echo team. They were, I think, based out in Pretoria, and the scouts were having a lot of conversations between one another, which is awesome. So thank you to ZS6STN for supporting the First Bryanston Scout Group yesterday. And you did hear in the Bulletin the Power Hour Tech Talk at the end of this month. That's on the Wednesday evening at 1900 local time. It will be all about the Lesotho D expedition, and that'll be exciting. It's our own Brandon and Matthew that will be participating in that talk, and hopefully some of the chasers will also add their voices to the fun that was had during that D expedition. But that's bound to be quite exciting, because as we know, the weather wasn't that great for Brandon hiking across the top of the berg, and so we'll hear all of the stories, which will be pretty awesome. Then I think that wraps it up about Stuart, ZS6STN, ZS6HI.
ZS6HI, ZS6STN. Thanks very much, Keith, for that feedback. A nice twist to add SSTV and CW combination. I suppose if you're sort of not into your CW, the SSTV will make it very exciting. So you're kind of forced to construct messages. Well done, Keith. Okay, so before we move on to the topic of interest, I just want to give a short paragraph about Pico balloons and the possibility of colliding with aircraft. Being involved with this lately, I've been asked this often by friends and family and so on. So I did some research, and I also found in the Pico balloon group IEs, group IO, there is quite a lot of discussion about this some time ago. Anyway, this is a summary. So commercial aircraft typically cruise at between 9 kilometers and 12 kilometers, and that's 30,000 to 39,000 feet. And Pico balloons float at altitudes of about 10 to 13 kilometers. So they generally sit just above the main civil aviation corridor. Earlier this week, I was on a SAS Air flight from Johannesburg to George, and for fun I launched the ham GPS app on my phone. Sitting at the window, the app quickly locked onto 10 satellites, and for most of the flight we were cruising at 818 kilometers an hour at an altitude of 12.8 kilometers. I often casually tell people that Pico balloons fly above commercial aircraft, so I was a little bit surprised to see that our altitude in the flight was 12.8 kilometers. The topic of potential collisions has been discussed several times in the Pico balloon Group IO forum, which you can look up, and a specific message which starts it all is 22913 if you want to go and read the specifics. But after reading through all the several posts of the subject, another factor became clear: statistics. The atmosphere surrounding the Earth represents an enormous volume. Due to predefined flight paths and optimal cruising levels, aircraft occupy only a very small portion of this volume. Pico balloons, typically made of mylar and about 1 meter in diameter, occupy an even smaller fraction. Statistically, the probability of a Pico balloon encountering an aircraft is extremely low. Furthermore, the total mass of a Pico balloon and its payload is typically less than 100 grams. By comparison, airliners are routinely designed to withstand bird strikes from birds weighing up to 1.8 to 2.5 kilograms without structural damage. details, the certification standards FAA Part 25.775 and ESA CS-25.775 require engines and windshields to withstand the impact of a 1.8 kilogram or 4 pound bird at cruise speed. Jet engine bird ingestation tests use birds up to 1.8 kilograms for large engines, and smaller regional jets are tested with 1 kilogram birds. Typical bird strike species, gulls, pigeons, ducks, weigh between 0.3 and 1.5 kilograms and usually cause only minor dents or fan blade nicks. Larger birds such as geese, 3 to 6 kilograms, and vultures, 5 to 7 kilograms, can cause serious damage, including engine failure or windshield penetration. In summary, commercial aircraft are built to withstand bird strikes from birds up to roughly 2 kilograms without serious damage, far more than the mass of any Pica balloon. Maybe that also explains why sometimes a Pica balloon just goes silent. It's hit by an aircraft. We never know. Right, ZS6STN returns. Right, moving to the special topic of interest today. James Webb Telescope may have spotted a controversial dark star in the far universe. This is by Sophia Verdugo, published on 9th of October 2025 in livescience.com. Using observations from the James Webb Space Telescope, astrophysicists have spotted what they say is compelling evidence for a new type of cosmic object called a dark star. The second most distant object ever spotted by the James Webb Telescope may be a dark star powered by dark matter rather than nuclear fission. By looking at the wavelengths of the light picked up by the James Webb Space Telescope, or JWST, researchers have identified 4 dark star candidates, with one seemingly posing a smoking gun helium absorption signature. The researchers reported in a study published on the 30th of September in the journal PNAS. First hypothesized in 2007, dark stars are believed to be among some of the first stars called population 3 stars to form after the Big Bang. According to the theory, they are made when collapsing hydrogen and helium, which on their own would form a black hole mixed with dark matter. Dark stars are thought to be extraordinarily massive and bright, reaching 1 million times the mass of the Sun and burning 1 billion times as bright. Our initial nickname dark star is a misnomer. Study co-author Catherine Fries, a professor of physics at the University of Texas in Austin, who proposed this dark star hypothesis, told Live Science, they are neither made entirely of dark matter nor are they dark. Finding dark stars could explain some of the very puzzling objects JWST has spotted in the early universe, such as the giant supermassive black holes that formed impossibly fast. Fries said it would also provide insights into the nature of dark matter. It's a probe, not just a new kind of star, she said. So these candidates are very encouraging to us. To spot the potential dark star candidates, the team trawled through observations from JWST Advanced Deep Extragalactic Survey, JADS. They focused on data collected by the near-infrared spectrograph, an instrument measuring the individual wavelengths of light coming from the celestial objects to learn about their temperatures, masses, and chemical fingerprints. These researchers set various criteria in their search. The signals needed to be no younger than redshift 10, a redwood shift stretching of the universe's ancient light corresponding to 500 million years after the Big Bang, could only contain hydrogen and helium and had to be from a single object. Signals from the first stars. Models of each candidate showed that all four could possibly be dark stars, perhaps even supermassive dark stars. The team also found hints of the smoking gun signature for supermassive dark stars in the JADS-GS-Z14-0 wavelength data. Singly ionized helium atoms absorbing light particles with a wavelength of 1640 angstroms. No other known high redshift objects are expected to produce such an absorption feature, the authors wrote in the study, adding their weight to the suggestion that the GS-Z14-0 is a dark star. The team was surprised to discover, however, that the Atacama Large Millimeter Submillimeter Array in Chile had detected GS-Z14-0 emitting oxygen, an element only produced by nuclear fusion-powered stars. That worries me a little bit, Fries said. The team is now running simulations to determine how much oxygen is permitted before a dark star is no longer able to form. Study co-author Cosmin Illy, a physicist from Colgate University in New York, told Live Science, logic tells me that there should be a sort of transition, he said. Dark stars remain controversial, and their existence is by no means accepted. The majority of POP3 star community actually doesn't think a dark star matter burn as dark stars can form. Daniel Whalen, a cosmologist at the University of Portsmouth in UK, who is not involved in the research, told Live Science. In fact, Whalen said that a huge issue with this research is that it did not differentiate between dark stars and supermassive primordial stars. That's the elephant in the room really here, he said. Although the dark star candidates are more massive than most supermassive primordial stars, their wavelength data needs to compare for both star types to rule out supermassive primordial stars, Whalen explained. In response to this criticism, Ely said that because supermassive primordial stars don't live as long as dark stars, if many suitable signatures are identified, they are statistically more likely to be dark stars. That means many more observations are needed to settle this mystery. Meanwhile, Fries said that the team is working on automating the search for dark stars in the JWST data, so we don't have to do anything except keep our eyes open. Well, I hope you found that interesting about dark stars. Gee, there's always something new. Thank you to everyone out there for listening, and we trust that you've enjoyed the bulletin today. Please feel free to give comments or any constructive criticism, and thank you to the stations that assisted with relays and broadcasting, and to those who contribute to the content from time to time. Join us again next Sunday at 8:45 a.m. for the regular bulletin of the Sandton Amateur Radio Club. This ends the weekly club bulletin for the Sandton Amateur Radio Club, ZS6STN, which was operated today from the shack of Stuart ZR1WT in George. Thank you for all our listeners, and 73. ZS6STN now relinquishes all frequencies for general use.